The season finale sees the iRacing Stock Car Association ButtKicker Cup Series swing on over to wine country here at the Sonoma Raceway for 45 laps of action and 114 miles for the Charles Shaw 114. It's going to be a thrilling season finale, to say at the very least. Don't go away. We've got yourself all of the race coverage and more coming up in just a few moments. Stick with us. And welcome back to qualifying coverage here for the, I've already forgotten which one this is, for the Charles Shaw 114 here at the Sonoma Raceway for the season finale. Nola Rempo coming at you in the booth. I have got Brian Britt beside me in the commentary box. Al Kozlowski taking a bit of a sabbatical today. Rob Melnick behind the cameras for the race today. So far, Kling out on pole and by a big margin as well, up there by a solid 1.2 seconds. Next is going to be Brian Johnson. About half a second back from him is going to be Clayton Hoffman. Just a quarter of a second behind Hoffman. Kenny Powell with a 139.865. Chris Johnson is another second and a half back from there with a 141.409 in the 5th position. Drumhiller sits in the 6th place, another 7 tenths back behind him. Rebuchinsky, Schaffner, Grassi, and Pattengale so far rounding out the grid. Robert Pattengale, the slowest driver this set of time on the day, 2.15 seconds slower than the next closest driver on the field. Gil Gach, the only other driver so far to register for today's race, has not set a qualifying time today and will no longer have any time. So, Brian, as we get set to kind of roll things over for qualifying or for the race here, it should be an interesting one.
Yeah, I definitely agree. Definitely going to be very interesting. I mean, especially to see 45 laps around Sonoma. And one thing you kind of mentioned about the name of the race. I mean, Charles Shaw is a winemaker, so great, actually very appropriate for this race here in Sonoma Wineland here, Napa Valley.
And we'll get all into all the little tricks and tidbits about today's race when we get things settled on over for tonight's 45 laps match. For now, though, let's take a quick break here. We'll let the national anthem have its say, and I'll be back with you shortly here with that starting grid.
ButtKicker. Feel what you've been missing. Get yours today at thebuttkicker.com and be sure to use our 20% discount promo code ISCA20.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets regular, the bombs bursting in air gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
And now, for the most famous words in motorsports. Drivers, start your engine!
National anthem has been sung. The Grand Marshal has given the starting command. So let's take a rundown now through your starting grid for tonight's 45-lap event. Eric Kling on pole with a 137.959. Brian Johnson lines up beside him on the front row. Clayton Hoffman and Kenny Powell sit third and fourth out there. Chris Johnson, Randy Drumhiller in fifth and sixth. Greg Wyszynski and Josh Schaffner, seventh and eighth on row number 4. Wayne Grossi, Robert Pattengale on row number 5, with Gil Gach rounding out the 11-car field in today's season finale for the ISCA Stock Car Association ButtKicker Cup Series and the second season of 2021. So the pace car about to set on off here with the field in tow. So Brian, we're about to get things underway here from Wine Country.
Yeah, definitely not sure what to expect. I don't know if I'm going to be very much help here at Sonoma, considering, don't have a lot of experience with this track. One thing I do know, a lot of elevation changes, so I think we're going to see a lot of guys maybe struggling with that for sure. And curious to see who's going to be the victor here tonight, considering, Eric Kling been so dominant in qualifying. Is that going to translate to the race?
It appears like it will. I mean, even just in practice, he was about half a second up on Brian Johnson there, but Johnson is a driver that really knows these road courses. So that'll definitely be very crucial in his battle for really the second, third, and fourth position there. The battle for the points positions on the final steps of the podium. We'll get into the points situations a little bit further on in today's race, where things tend to die out a bit more here. We kind of look forward, though. I mean, we got the next race here. It is an off week, and it is going to be more of an all-star race. They will be running the next-gen cars at Homestead Miami Speedway. That will be a one-off event, unfortunately, for the next-gen cars. They will not be making their next appearance until 2022. The Kenny, of course, wanted to make continuity with the Super Cup Series, something that has really not played too much of a factor so far throughout the year, and we really won't be talking a whole lot about the Super Cup Series season until we get deeper and deeper into 2021, likely until further towards the end of the summer. But that's bound to be an entertaining thing as well to keep an eye out for.
Yeah, I'm definitely looking for. I mean, that sounds like a really fun race, seeing those next-gen cars going to Homestead. I definitely would might have to tune in and watch that one myself. Looking forward to that.
Just rounded the top of the turns, top of the hill there at turn 7 before darting down for the S's at turn 8. I'm really not sure the corner prods here, because what you would expect to be turn 8 and 9. No, sir. Where the pace car is right now, that is actually not a turn either. Now the pace car is in turn number 9. So it's really weird how Sonoma's got these turns labeled here, and it always angers me.
California for you.
Track's in California? Oh, so it is. I don't know why. I always thought this was an East Coast track.
I think Sonoma's in California. If I might be.
No, I just checked it out. You're right. So you'll learn something new every day. I always thought this place was on the East Coast. I guess not. Well, pace car is going to pull it down here to pit road. It'll be in the hands of Eric Kling, who's going to take the field here through that final hairpin of turn 11 before through the left-hand kink up for 12. Field's going to get stacked up behind the 88 machine as we just now have to wait for that green flag. Now Eric Kling jumps on the loud pedal, and Brian Johnson caught napping off of the start. Eric Kling leads the field to the green flag conditions. Robert Pagel immediately drops out and goes to the back. Single file all the way through turn 1. Now up the hill for 2.
Brian Johnson napping in Napa Valley. Don't want to do it, but he's starting to actually run down Eric Kling, as we see Gil Gach actually making a pass on Robert Pattingale back there.
He's the only position to swap hands all race long. Pagel kind of let Gil Gach have that one there. Of course, the number 1 car, more of a gentleman's racer. He tends to just show up here and race for the fun of it. And you know what? It's always good to see those guys that just start up and race for the fun of it. They tend to have more fun than a lot of the other guys in the league, even though they don't tend to be winning a whole lot of races. You talked about Eric Kling, though, being run down by Brian Johnson. The gap has gone from about a second down to just 0.3 of a second now and closing fast. Brian Johnson is on the hunt for the race lead early.
Yeah, he definitely is. And we saw, Eric Kling able to have so much speed in qualifying. I mean, it was ridiculous. 37, second or a minute 37. I've never seen that actually on this track so far. And he was able to do it, but I don't think that's translating to his race trim as we see Brian Johnson, starting to close in. And look at that, Eric Kling getting a little bit aggressive here, going off track.
Just kind of vaulting over the curbs, of course, with these big machines. You do have the ability to do that, so much so that when the Xfinity Series went to the Circuit Jean Villeneuve, they put in special anti-cut curbs just to stop them from doing so. They've since done the same at tracks like the Charlotte Roval, Daytona International Speedway, and their NASCAR road course as well. So these cars can really take quite a bit of abuse here before you really start to notice any effects on them. Worth noting as well that Kling has pulled a bit of a gap here now in that final sector on the track. The gap up to about a second now, so I think that last sector there, that's where Eric Kling gets all the speed from as he now leads lap number 1.
Yeah, definitely. And the race to watch here, from what I've heard, is, for the 3rd spot in the championship points here, Kenny Powell up to 4th. I know that he is, I think, tied with Greg Wachinski. And it looks like he's doing a good job up in 4th right now. Going to be looking forward to hopefully keeping it clean the rest of the race.
The way it sits at the moment, Kenny Powell would very much take away the third position from Greg Wyszynski in their little points battle there. He is, as well, only 7 points off of Brian Johnson, but the only way Johnson can really be able to fall out would unfortunately be for him to fall all the way to the tail end of the field pretty much. So it's a bit of a long shot here for Kenny Powell to try to get himself second place in the points. Clayton Hoffman, though, he's the other big name today. Your confirmed champion at this point in time. I mean, we talked about at Charlotte how it would really depend on how many people showed up at Sonoma. Well, only 11 people turned up. So even if Hoffman finishes stone dead last and doesn't even finish the race, he's going to be your champion at the end of the night. Whoa, heads up. Randy Drumheller just took a really big off up at turn 7, and he has let through Greg Wyszynski.
It shows you how difficult this track is, and luckily there's no walls or anything like that or anything. He's able to really get back onto the track, so a little bit more of a forgiving area of the track.
And that's obviously due in part to the fact that that is also the shutdown zone for a quarter-mile drag strip that starts just at start and finish. So you got to have a really long runoff there, and you can even see the sand trap at the very tail end of that runoff there as well. So you get all of these different things combined, and it just goes to show just how difficult of a track this can really be, and how many different races you can see here as well. You got IndyCar that runs here. You, of course, have touring car races that tend to run here as well. I think the World Touring Car Championship comes here from time to time. So you get all these various series here. And don't forget as well, NASCAR now making their trip to the longer layout of the track that we're racing on tonight. Obviously a good thing to see, considering how the original layout that NASCAR has been using since the early 2000s onward has really not yielded some of the best races in NASCAR history. Oh, Clayton Hoffman, points leader, has just headed off at turn 3.
Oh, that is not good. That's going to give the spot here to Kenny Powell, and it could even give the spot here to Chris Johnson, and it does. So that is a big mistake, going to be very costly. But, I mean, still, you said he's going to be crowned champion no matter what, so he's got to be, having a sigh of relief that, if he does make mistakes, it's not going to be the end of the world.
Wayne Grossi takes a big slide coming down the hill for turn number 6. Got back and stepped out and saved it just as he got onto the binders over the crest. It's a good thing to point out as well, that crest right over entering turn 6 between 6 and 5. It's one of the most easy places you can spin it on this track. And if there's ever a place on this track that I ever crash at, that's always the corner that catches me out every single time.
Yeah, I definitely understand that. I think about every piece of this track, I crash at it about every single time, just considering not much of a road course racer. But I will tell you, I got to shout out that 85 for Gil Doc. I mean, he's been, he hasn't been doing the best out there, but he has been moving up the field here, running, minute 42s faster than a lot of the guys in front of him.
So far, the most drivers to gain spots as well throughout this race, up 2 spots, tied with Clayton Hoffman, although Hoffman has only moved back 2 spots, not increased either. Of course, Hoffman, nothing to worry about at the moment. So the way things stand at the moment, top 2 are sitting exactly as they have been. Powell and Johnson are both +1 on the day. Hoffman has fallen back 2. Wyszynski and Drumheller have both switched hands. Josh Schaffner still sitting exactly where he was sitting. Gil Gok is +2. Wayne Grossi, Robert Pattingill, both -1 so far from where they have started the course of the day. Speaking of Josh Schaffner, he is actually pretty close to Randy Drumheller, trying to maybe put that 44 car down yet another spot. He's sitting, I want to say, just about 3/4 of a second behind him.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I noted that whenever Randy Drumheller had his issue there, I do believe Josh definitely was fighting with him a little bit there, considering just how much slower that Randy was going. But I think Randy kind of has rebounded a little bit. Yeah, he still is, under fire from him. But I do believe he might, be trying to really set his sights forward and not really worry about rear as he's trying to catch Greg Wyszynski. But look at that. Is that Gil Gok right behind Randy? No, I'm sorry. Josh Shop. So this is my boy Gil Gok. I mean, I want to meet this guy. He's doing a good job out there.
Gok starting to close in his 85 number. In his 85 Chevrolet Camaro ZL1. Currently half a second behind and continuing to try to reel him on in, corner by corner, lap by lap. This is a track where patience is key. You have to make sure that you don't overdrive the car, because if you do so, the track is positioned in just such a way you are never, ever going to be able to recover properly with how far back you're going to drop.
Yeah, 100%. Right now, I'm kind of watching Kenny Powell here as we see Clayton Hoffman has managed to get around Chris Johnson get that spot back, and I do believe he's going to be pouncing on Kenny Powell here shortly.
Hoffman, of course, a very big name over the last couple of weeks. He's still trying to work himself up, and I think at the moment Hoffman's just going for some extra glory as well. This is not really going to help, though, Kenny Powell in his battle with Greg Wyszynski, though. It's going to put him down one more spot, but at the moment, I mean, you look at Clayton Hoffman, he's got a solid 6 seconds back to Wyszynski, so he doesn't have too much to worry about in that battle for third, but in terms of overall podiums, Hoffman is definitely looking to add another one to that column as he is continuing to close, now just about half a second behind.
Yeah, definitely 100%. And Clayton turning some really good laps. I mean, he's hitting a minute 40.5 compared with Kenny Powell, who's hitting a minute 41.3. So definitely a big difference there, and it adds up on this road course 100%. And they are pretty quick out there. I mean, I think they are about third and fourth fastest on the track right now, as you see Eric Kling still the fastest guy on track, running a 1:39.314 last time by. And you can tell tires mean a lot here, is almost a second of fall off.
You speak of tires as well. These guys do have 3 sets to work with, only 3 tire sets total to work with over the course of the night. Surprising considering you've had the oval races where they've been going with 4 sets, but I mean, at 45 laps, that means these drivers could technically stop every 15 laps, and they're going to make it to the end on tires. Now, of course, it's now going to beg the question, are you going to gain more on fresh rubber on this place, or are you going to gain more by just taking the one stop and running this to the end of the fuel run? The fuel run, roughly 32 laps. So on fuel, you can make it on the one stop easily. It's all going to be about how do people play with the tires. And when we were at the Circuit of the Americas about a month ago, we saw people kind of flirting around with the 2 different strategies there. At the end of the day, I believe it was a one stop that came out in top of that race. But the 2 stoppers, they really weren't that far behind.
And that doesn't really surprise me. I mean, I expect, of course, taking a pit stop definitely adds up more time. But, I mean, it just really all depends on how you take care of your equipment. I mean, the one stop might not work for a guy, that does not take care of his equipment well.
It's all about how fast can you go, or how much time can you make up on fresh tires. If you can make up more time, even if it's just about a second or so, taking the 2 stops, might just be worth to go for the 2 stops than staying out there on a one stopper. Because, I mean, you get all this extra speed. You can push a lot harder for longer as well. In fact, the whole race, if you really manage it out right. At the moment, Powell and Hoffman, the 2 closest cars on track, 3/10 and closing. Hoffman still not close enough that Powell is having to defend against him, but that 24 is going to start working around it. Oh, swings a bit wide there to the final corner of 11. That catches Hoffman out on corner exit, who had to check up to avoid running over that 24 Toyota Camry.
And you were just saying that he didn't have to defend him. I think he's starting to have to defend him right now. But I mean, then again, Kaufman probably trying to mind his P's and Q's. He does not get his race, ruined here. As we see Kenny Powell go wide there. So I think that we're going to see Kaufman really get back to that back bumper once again here.
Hoffman has started pressure Kenny into these little mistakes. Oh, that's really wide as well to the corner. And here comes Hoffman. Going to dive it down the inside here for turn 5. And that was a very easy pass there for the 92 machine, who just sweeps on through. No problems there for the 92 machine. And look at how much time he's already gained on Kenny Powell. Just absolutely astronomical. Shows that he was really being held up by the 24 car, who's now got to worry about Chris Johnson in that 48 car pressuring from behind.
Yeah, 100%. And Clayton Hoffman, definitely proven he has a lot of speed in that race car. I mean, especially seeing that last corner. I mean, that was like a hairpin. You really had to slow down for that. And he took it very narrow, but still knew exactly how much brake he needed to get through it.
Just kind of looking around the field at the moment. So we got a few battles going on at the moment that are within a second of each other. You got yourself Kenny Powell and Chris Johnson. That's the furthest apart of the 2. Greg Wyszynski and Randy Drumhiller, they're battling for 6th and 7th. They are sitting about 3/4 of a second apart from each other. The closest one is between Schaffner and Gil Gauck. That's only half the second, and Gauck is continuing to close in and apply more and more pressure on the number 50 machine. So the 85 car for the Geezers Garage Chevrolet is definitely trying to start to put a lot of pressure on that 50 car now.
Yeah, for sure. And I kind of turned my attention back to the front here. Brian Johnson last time by had, or the time before that, had turned a faster lap than Eric Kling. And you can clearly see tires mean a ton here as they are hitting the minute 41 mark here, and you know, best laps of the race from those two were 1:38 and 1:39. So I mean, just think about how much fall off that is at this road course.
0.8 of a second were the time separating your top two at the moment. So if Johnson can continue to put in those times within about 5-7 laps here, he's going to be threatening for the race lead. The gap is kind of hovering at about 5 seconds between them at the moment. So we'll have to wait and see here just how that is going to really play into effect. I'm still kind of keeping my eyes on that battle for 8th place at the moment, because that is definitely the closest thing we got out on the track at the moment. Those two drivers just 0.3 of a second apart, and Gawk was almost close enough to give the bumper to Josh Schaffner that last time by.
Yeah, and Gawk was able to turn a faster lap. I mean, by, you know, 0.4, almost 0.4 there. So Gawk's got a lot of speed in that race car, and he's definitely wanting to try to move his way through this field. And he's doing a great job of it. He's definitely looking like he could be a very big contender for biggest mover of the night.
Kind of increased to 0.4 of a second. He cut the exit of turn 6 a bit too tight for his own good there, but he's going to be able to stay nice and close there, I would think, through this SS section here. One of the most difficult portions on the track for these stock cars. You know, they really do not like corners like these. You know, switch back and forth. It's so easy to kind of lose the rear end coming through here. But now this corner right here that they're going through, one of my most favorite turns on the whole track. It's so difficult to get, but it feels so good when you do. Gawk did not get it right, though. Lost a lot of time, about 1.5 tenths lost up to Josh Schaffner. Took a very bad line through there.
Yeah, and that's something you see at these road courses a lot. I mean, you see guys that excel at certain portions of the track and, you know, just not be as good at other portions. You don't see that quite as much on the ovals, but you see it, you know, come out a lot here. You know, some guys really prefer the low-speed corners or you know, vice versa.
When it comes, you know, in road course racing, we have a saying that rain is the great equalizer. However, when you get to oval racing, which is primarily, you know, when it comes to stock car racing, I mean, when it's primarily ovals, road courses themselves are the great equalizer, because you can have guys that, you know, really have a lot of experience on the road side of things come out to play. I mean, there's been a lot of cases where I've seen people that they've come out, they have absolutely dominated the road courses, but they have not even come close to winning anything else, because the road course racing, that's what they do.
Oh, it takes a completely different skill set. I mean, of course, you've seen him, you know, even could take it to real life. I mean, when Juan Pablo Montoya, I mean, you know, him racing in the NASCAR series was not really ever successful like he was in the road courses.
And of course, when we say road course there, we mean from the likes of IndyCar, Formula One, a winner of the Monaco Grand Prix. Don't you forget?
All around one of the best drivers ever have lived, but you know, just didn't have the same skill set that, you know, he needed for the NASCAR.
We're gonna see which event it was, the Triple Crown they did it win, because he was only one event away from winning the Triple Crown before his retirement. I think it was Le Mans. I'm gonna take a look and see if I can find that though.
I'm pretty sure he has won Le Mans, if I'm not mistaken, for sure. I don't know, though. I could be very much mistaken, as we see Eric Clean really being aggressive on these corners here. And, you know, we were talking about that two-stop strategy, you know, like if that would be a viable option. I think the person that should try it would be Brian Johnson, because he has, you know, almost nothing to lose here. You know, he's good on the short run, got a very fast race car. You know, could be the thing he needs to try to do something different than Eric here. As we do see the race for, you know, 4th really heating up as Kenny Powell and Chris Johnson battling back and forth here.
Kind of getting back with the whole Triple Crown discussion with Juan Pablo Montoya. He has won the Monaco Grand Prix in 2003 and won the Indy 500 twice in 2000 and 2015. Has not won the 24 Hours of Le Mans. So that is the one unfortunate event that he has not been able to win. It's such a difficult event to win as well. The only 24-hour race on the Triple Crown. Arguably, I would argue that the 24 Hours of the Nürburgring is a much more trying event that would need to be put on there, but I digress. I mean, hell, I'm one guy that also thinks that, you know, the Monaco Grand Prix should just be a ball shot together. That track is just beyond awful at this point. No idea how it's still on the schedule for Formula One, but getting back on top of, you know, with the stock car race, I mean, like you said, you got all these battles that are starting to pick on up, and it's one of those cases where we're going to be seeing this kind of fluctuating back and forth throughout the course of the race.
Yeah, for sure. And I feel like, you know, next 5 laps or so, you know, we could see that second stop option. We're going to see those guys, you know, we're going to if they're going to do it. But then again, we could see even, different strategies in that. We could see some guys pit a little bit earlier and, right in the fuel window. I mean, I'm not sure what we're going to see when it comes to pit strategy, to be honest with you.
It's going to be very interesting to see what we're going to be having around here when it comes to pit stop window. And I mean, if these guys are wanting to go for the 2 stops, we're about 4 laps away from seeing the guys that wanted to go for that 2-stop strategy starting to come down. But for the time being, I'm genuinely thinking that a lot of these guys are just going to be sticking it out there, maybe going for the potential 1-stopper. I mean, a lot of these guys are still racing very clean. We're not seeing too many issues so far for what it gets to the track. Nobody's really struggling with tire wear. I feel like we might be seeing a lot of guys going for the 1-stop this time. Excuse me, this time round.
Well, I don't know, though. I mean, you kind of mentioned about people not struggling with tire wear. Last time by, Eric Kling hit a minute 44 lap. So, I mean, that is very slow compared to what his baseline has been so far here tonight. I'm curious to see, maybe if we look back, did maybe something go wrong there with him?
I don't think so. I mean, you got Brian Johnson was a 145.576.
That's what I'm saying. Something happened there.
That's like 3 seconds slower as well. Oh, did you see something there?
Brian Johnson really, he was drifting it out of that corner. As definitely these guys maybe struggling a little bit more than we think here on the tire. But I mean, maybe that could have just been an outlier for both of those guys. That's kind of very coincidental that both of them have not the best laps on the same lap. That's very interesting.
I mean, looking back, I just looked back at myself, and it's just coincidental. I mean, none of them really had anything go wrong. None of them went off track. They're just slower. They burned their stuff up early on here. And I mean, now you look at Eric Lane. Now he's up a minute 40 once again. So he's definitely got the times back up. So it was just outliers for the both of them. It's an interesting thing to see, but happens to everybody at some point or another.
It's very interesting to see. Interesting. I mean, it could have been just a little mess up in the code from iRacing. We've seen it before.
Let's kind of take a minute here to kind of go over the point standings so far coming into today's race. You got Clayton Hoffman, who's obviously your current champion, out there 20 points ahead of Brian Johnson. Johnson just 7 points ahead of Kenny Powell, who's in a hard fight with Ray Wachinski for 3rd and 4th in the point standings. They're both tied at the moment. Powell would come out on top of that one. Wayne Grossi sits in 5th place with Chris Johnson at 6th. Got Randy Drummiller, Craig Johnson, Paul Olson, and Gil Gawk to round out the top 10. Then, of course, you got guys further down the order. Josh Schaffner making another appearance today, only 6 starts on the season. Robert Pattingale, though, he has only had only came into this series 3 weeks ago, and already he has gapped almost half the field in the point standings just on sheer attendance alone. Everybody behind him, they have really not been making appearances this season. Eric Kling, Seth Hollander, Chris Severa, Hornbuckle, Mulligan, Cisna, Sullivan, Keith, and Labrie all have not made starts, since their one and only kind of one-offs at Charlotte or before that. So Pattingale, it goes to show that if you just show up and run the races, even if you're not up at the front, you can still get a pretty good standing in the points.
Yeah, it's all about really just showing up. I mean, those guys that, I understand life happens and stuff like that, but I mean, definitely showing up helps you in the points because those are points you can't get. As we see Gil Gawk try to make a pass on Josh. I think he got it right back.
Kenny Powell just had a spin, and that allows Chris Johnson to sweep by in the battle for 4th place on the track. Ran 2 wide through turn 2, just dipped 2 tires barely into the sand. Oh!
That's a big wreck there. Greg Watkinski having a problem with Kenny Powell there. Kenny Powell falling through the field here as he is now down to 9th.
I hate to say it, but that was a very clumsy rejoin on Kenny Powell's part. Came up right in front of Wachinski, who had no idea was going to be there. That has put Wachinski into firing distance here of both Schaffner and Gil Gawk. So we'll have to see how this is going to impact the 24 car and the 2 out there on the track. But, I mean, that's pretty shut and dry. Powell just drove on straight in front of Greg Wachinski. Nothing that the 2 car could do. It's a real shame, really.
He is, and one thing about this racetrack, and I'm friends with a Cup driver that has not had the chance to actually drive it. Quinn Half, he's actually looking to make his debut here at Sonoma. And one thing about this track he told me about, it says that a lot of blind corners, and I think Greg really suffered from that blind corner problem here.
I mean, at the same time, though, the corners are blind, yes, but I mean, again, what are you supposed to do if you caught a car coming over the track right in front of you? He would have been clear, but Kenny Powell just drove right up in front of him. I mean, it's the worst possible moment.
Definitely not a good call. I think that maybe Kenny was suffering from a little bit of adrenaline, you know, or something like that was going on to where, you know, he kind of lost the rational thought process. I mean, we all have done it before. You know, whenever you're in the moment and you reckon you want to salvage your race, I just think that maybe he made the wrong decision there.
It's important to note as well, though, this has allowed the battle to swing back in favor of Greg Wyszynski, who is now in front of Kenny Powell. These two drivers that just wrecked in front of each other, battling for the final position in the podium in points. And now Wyszynski is going to be up by just 1 point on Kenny Powell, who is falling way down the order. So this is big here for that final points battle we got in the field.
I definitely don't think it's over yet, though, because Greg Wyszynski has slowed down quite a bit as I think damage really starting to hurt his race car. I don't know. I mean, you know, we saw Josh Schaffner and Gilgach able to get around him pretty easily. As we see Kenny Powell in the background, we might see this race, you know, intensify between these two guys.
Certainly is not over yet. So Wyszynski is still trying to run down Gilgach. We'll have to wait and see how this is going to play up here in this fight for the overall positions here. Oh, Gach runs a little bit wide. Wyszynski follows him, though, so that's going to kind of help out Gach a little bit. But just there, Gilgach increased the gap to just about 1 second, which is what you need if you want to really be able to break away. 1.1 now, so he's continuing to grow further and further away. I think the damage is starting to hamper both of these drivers in a big way. I mean, you look at Kenny Powell, massive left front damage. Wyszynski just nailed up all on the front end of the car as well.
Yeah, that's the worst spot to get damage. I mean, it's one thing to get some rear end or some,
There goes
right here, something like that. But, oh, there goes Wyszynski down pit road. Wyszynski going down pit road, so it looks like he's going to take this opportunity to pit. I mean, he knows he's slow. Maybe he's going to try to get some damage off. Not sure. But, you know, like I was saying, the front end, that is not the place you want to get damage because it affects your aero way more than, you know, rear end damage would.
Oh, it absolutely does. I mean, it's definitely not ever a pleasant sight to have to, you know, worry about aero damage on a car, especially these ones. The one car you never want to have aero damage on. So Wyszynski is going to come into his pit box right about there. Very clean entry for him. We'll have to see if he's definitely going to take 4 tires. I mean, that's an understatement for him. He's going for the 2-stop strategy here, potentially. We'll have to see how long he's in the pits, though, to fix that damage on the car if he decides to do that.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a good call for him to really take that, you know, chance. I mean, nothing really to lose. I mean, you got to, you know, do what you got to do here. As we see Wayne Grassi able to get around Kenny Powell.
Powell is really slow. I have a feeling he has had another spin, actually, in that very corner. Has lost it by himself, coming around through the apex, and that is going to cost him a lot of time to Greg Wyszynski, who is now on fresh rubber as well. Worth noting, Wyszynski has not fixed the damage, only in there for 17.5 seconds with a very beat-up nose. So we'll have to see how this is going to impact Wyszynski throughout the course of the race. Now, Kenny Powell, how is he going to respond to this undercut here from Wyszynski?
I don't know. I mean, you know, he's already had another spin. I think that, you know, really just going to be in damage control mode. I mean, going to have to hope that Greg makes another mistake. Otherwise, I think Greg definitely has the advantage 100%. And I have to wonder, though, you know, Greg having that front end damage, did he take any tape off that race car? That's another question that I'd love answered, considering, I mean, if you have a lot of front end damage, everybody knows you can end up blowing that engine.
30 laps remaining in this 45-lap race, 1/3 of the way through. Let's take a quick break here. Give a shout out to ButtKicker, the guys that help to keep the lights on here at the ISCA Stock Car Association, and we'll be right back.
ButtKicker. Feel what you've been missing. Get yours today at TheButtKicker.com and be sure to use our 20% discount promo code ISCA20.
17 laps into the, I keep forgetting this. It's the Charles Shaw 114. I don't know beer companies a whole lot, Brian.
Not a beer company, it's a wine company. We're in Napa Valley and Sonoma, my friend.
That should tell you how little I know about this, all right?
Sure, but we definitely got some great racing going on right now. I mean, these guys all, chugging along, being persistent. That's what you got to do. Oh, we see Brian Johnson having a big wiggle off the corner there.
Tail slapping it again out through the turn 12 through those little canes. If you slap one of those walls, your day may as well be over. It's such a big impact on you there.
Yeah, luckily he didn't, get too much contact on there for sure. And, we've seen time and time again in the NASCAR Cup Series, those guys, hitting those tires. You think those things would be very forgiving, but a lot of times those things will end your race just as well as the wall will.
Kind of reset things here, kind of run down here through the entire order on the field. Eric Kling still leads. He has led every lap so far this race. Brian Johnson, 14.5 seconds behind, and with Clinton Hoffman another 7 seconds behind your second podium driver. Chris Johnson sits in 4th place, 30 seconds behind the race leader. Another 15 seconds back, Randy Drumhiller with Josh Schaffner, 4 seconds behind in the 6th position. Right now, those guys are the close ones we got out there on the track at the moment. Schaffner and Gil Gogg, they're about 7 seconds apart as well. I take it back. Gil Gogg's actually closer to Wayne Grassi. 2 seconds separating them at the moment. Kenny Powell, after colliding with his big title contender here for 3rd place, Greg Wyszynski, they're currently sitting about 25 seconds apart with Robert Pattengale, just 10 seconds behind Wyszynski as well. Now, you pointed out here, Brian, right after Wyszynski came out, that he was about 7 seconds the last slower. I compared the last lap by, though. Wyszynski's only 1.3 seconds faster than Powell, and he's still got 23 seconds to make up to him. I think Powell's going to try to go for the one-stop here.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised for that at all. I mean, no one else has really taken that carrot on the stick, chase that carrot, to try to make that 2-stop. Looks like everybody really going for that 1-stop. But, I mean, I just was watching Kenny Powell, and he's getting really wiggly off these corners. So I'm not sure. I mean, he seems like he's having some trouble. I don't know, maybe, this is an open series. So I feel like setup could be the culprit or damage to his suspension could be causing him to have some handling issues.
Oh, heads up. I just looked at Greg Wyszynski. He's missing the front clip on his car. So Greg Wyszynski has had something else happen. I'll see if I can look back at it. We'll see if we can get a replay of it having to use as well, because Wyszynski's had a very big shunt somewhere out there on the racetrack. And I'll do some digging here. I think I might have found it. Yes, okay, I did get it here. Lap 16, coming out of the final hairpin. Wyszynski pushed way too wide to the final hairpin and slammed the concrete barrier, separated the track from pit road, and ripped the front clip off of his car.
He's definitely not going to be having any heating issues now, and I think that really that's going to help out Kenny Powell more than anything. Because I mean, I kind of mentioned it before the commercial break there about how really Kenny needs Greg to have a problem. And there's that problem.
Unfortunately, Kenny cannot afford to have problems himself. Last lap by 6 seconds slower because of all the wiggles he's been having. So the gap already down to just 21 seconds again. So Kenny Powell is having a very, very rough time out there on the track. He is not enjoying it very much in this 24 Toyota Camry. So that's a really close battle to watch, because the way it sits at the moment, Powell comes out on top in that points battle with Greg Wyszynski. But that can flip, though, in just a few laps here if mistakes keep being made.
And that just goes to show you, how good of performances that Kenny and, Greg have been having, on the ovals and stuff like that. Of course, we've had some road courses this year, but, I mean, a lot of the races they've been doing have been on ovals. So I feel like that's where their strengths have been lying, and you could see the performances they've been having. I mean, based on where they're standing in the, championship.
Last time by, Kenny Powell was 0.7 of a second quicker than Greg Wyszynski, and we're continuing to close in here, so I'll try to once again let you know kind of how things are going to be looking here at the moment. No, disregard. I'm an idiot. I was looking at their best overall laps, not the last ones, which have not come in yet. It's about to wonder how the heck Kenny got in a 140 time on worn tires. So compare it now, 143.704. for Kenny Powell. And Wojcinski is just coming down here now through that final hairpin. So let's see what his time is going to be across the line. We'll see who's really faster at the moment.
Well, that's one thing though about you know being faster at the moment. That's the key word, at the moment. It's all about consistency at these road courses. I mean, you literally have to be like clock robotic.
Wojcinski 7/10 slower than Kenny Powell on 14 lap fresher tires. That has got to be the front clip damage doing its work. That 2 car is struggling greatly, and he still has to stop one more time today yet. Kenny only has to stop once as well, but he hasn't made a stop. Excuse me, I have some serious problems with hiccups here. I do apologize for that, but Kenny Powell's only got 1 stop. He's got to make total. Wojcinski's already made a stop, and he has to come down again yet.
And I think in the next 2 or 3 laps, I think we're going to see about everybody make their way down pit road. Maybe not Greg, of course, but I mean I do believe that would split it halfway. Depends on if these guys are trying to maximize the fuel run or if they're going to pit a little bit before that happens there. But I do believe lap 23, 24, somewhere in there, around these lines, I think we're going to start seeing some guys take pit stops.
While we're waiting here, I mean, we can kind of go over what we can expect to see, throughout the next season. Of course, season finale here at Sonoma pretty much wrapped up as it is. So we'll kind of look forward to how season 3 is going to look out. After our All-Star race next week at Homestead with next-gen cars, we're going to go to Kentucky Speedway to kick off the season with a 150-lap event there. That is going to be a very interesting race. Kentucky Speedway, always a track that I personally like. Pocono Raceway, though, for a short 80-lap event, just 1 week away from that. Then comes one of the best road courses in all of North America, Road America. It's one of the best race facilities you can find out there. It's got a lot of long straightaways and the hard braking zones. There we swung on over to classic old Atlanta. Some short track racing at New Hampshire Motor Speedway before we kick things over for yet another road course, Watkins Glen. Indianapolis Motor Speedway comes after that one. Of course, we do have 2 weeks of July 22nd to 29th. We do not know yet what venues are going to be present. We'll just wait and see on that one when the schedule is made official. But the season finale is going to be ending with Darlington and Daytona. Darlington being the season finale, Daytona being the penultimate race in season 3. As conveniently as it is, Daytona is also going to be the cutoff race for the round of 8 for the Super Cup Series season. So some very entertaining races coming up ahead of us.
It definitely sounds like it. I mean, I myself, I'm a little bit biased. I look forward to Darlington considering I live in Darlington County. And love to attend those races at Darlington. I mean, a lot of people don't like that track, but I absolutely love it just because, it's such good, it does such good for the community around here.
If you want to get in on what is bound to be a very exciting season, the ISCA is currently actively recruiting, so you can swing on over to the Ireland Stock Car Association on iRacing or speak to Kenny Powell, and we'll get you in here and racing with us for next week's race. Clinton Hoffman has just made his pit stop. You are right on the money there, Brian. About 2 or 3 laps from then, everybody's going to start coming down pit road. Kenny Powell is in for his one and only stop. Clayton Hoffman just exited pit road a few seconds ago with a 14-second stop. How long will Powell stay in there for now?
I don't know. I mean, I think seeing how Greg didn't really take any time to take any damage off that car, I think we're going to probably see the same thing from Kenny here. But I mean, also look at Robert Pattengale. We talked about him being one that was going to probably be one that could maybe go the long run here. He has also joined the modified division as we see Eric Kling starting to catch up to him to put him another lap down. Well, I'm sorry, that actually is Greg Wojcinski. They have kind of similar colors, so I'm sorry about that.
I was going to say, I mean, I don't remember ever seeing Pattengale. Well, he's still got a completely clean car in the number 1 machine. One of the only people out there that actually still does the moment. He has actually been having a very clean race, very unnoteworthy as well. So now Powell is behind Wojcinski. Now here's the really crucial thing here, though, Brian. Remember, before Kenny came in, Greg Wojcinski had about a 23-second gap up to Kenny. It's only 16.5 seconds after Kenny's pit stop.
It's not going to help. This is not.
No, it isn't.
Powell just drove off the track.
Oh shoot! Did he really?
Kenny Powell is off the track in the sand.
Oh no!
Just going to allow Clayton Hoffman going to get by him.
Oh, he wheel hopped it. He wheel hopped it coming down the hill and just slid off into the dirt. This is turning into one heck of a podium fight here for 3rd place on the track. Now Wojcinski's got a 29-second gap to work with. He's going to lose more time than that, though, on pit road. So he's got to really drive like hell now in this run here before he has to make his final pit stop on the day. Randy Drumhiller and Wayne Gross are both in pit road as well. Drumhiller is currently getting left sides on his machine after getting fresh right sides. And he's off and away. Wayne Grossi will be coming down as well. We'll see what he can do here. But I'm very curious to see how this battle between Wachinski and Powell is going to play out. Because it really is a winner-takes-all in that situation there.
Yeah, for sure. And, you know, one thing I'm kind of watching here is Josh Schaffner. I mean, he's up to 4th right now, has not taken his pit stop yet, but so Gil Gauck is not taking a pit stop either. And those guys have been literally racing like the whole race, and now Josh starting to pull away. Got to be curious to see when these guys are going to take a pit stop.
I mean, they might be content to just kind of run it out there. They have a lot of time to work with up there with a lot of these guys as well. Eric Kling, the race leader, just had a really big moment, kind of stepping it out over the hill as he's trying to run down now Greg Wachinski to put that number 2 driver 1 lap down. So a lot of the guys that are still out there, they're kind of starting to struggle a little bit more here. I'm still going to watch to see how the lap times are fluctuating between Kenny Powell and Greg Wachinski as well. There's 27 seconds separated at the moment. Obviously, we can't use last lap as a good comparison because of Kenny's off. So I have to see what it's like this next time by.
Well, Chris Johnson now taking his trip down pit road to 48, going to be pitting on lap 23 here, as he is taking his pit stop and gonna probably give some positions up. Maybe, I don't know. I mean, this track is so big. That's one thing about the road courses is you're able to pit and maybe not lose a lap, but I mean, still definitely have a lot of time loss.
Schaffner also comes down to pit road in the midst of all of this as well. So you got a couple of drivers here on pit road. Johnson leaves the pit lane as Schaffner gets left side tires on his machine. So this is going to leave 4 drivers that have yet to come. Well, actually 4 drivers that have yet to make their stop so far today. You know, Eric Kling and Brian Johnson in first and second. Gil Gauck still has to make his stop in the 85 car. So Robert Pankin has to make his stop as well, and we're still expecting one more from Greg Wachinski, although that probably won't be for another 6 or so laps.
Yeah, I think Eric Kling definitely probably going to stretch it out as far as he can, considering, I mean, he's not running the worst times, but Brian Johnson now down pit road. And I don't blame Brian Johnson, considering, I mean, the lap times he was just turning, I mean, he was hitting minute 45. So, I mean, way off of what Eric Kling was doing. So, I mean, last-ditch effort to do something here. Something big has to happen for Brian Johnson to win this thing. But I do believe, like you kind of mentioned, I think he's going to be able to lock away that second spot in the season standings.
I mean, that's basically a certainty at this point. Even if he drops all the detail in the field, where Wachinski and Powell are right now, he still would be up there by about 2 or 3 points. So Brian Johnson has got second place locked out pretty convincingly at the moment. Kind of touching in now as Johnson leaves pit road on Kenny Powell and Greg Wachinski. Speak of the devil. 141, 5.38 last time by for Kenny Powell. 145, 2.45 for Greg Wachinski. Powell, 4 seconds of a lap quicker. Gap was 22.6 seconds and starting to close. Gil Gauck makes his trip down pit road now. One of the last drivers to do so. We're now just waiting on Eric Kling, but he is still staying out there.
Yeah, I mean, you mentioned, though, 32 laps is the fuel run here. So, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised to see him try to run it out. I mean, I kind of said earlier, I feel like we're going to see, a lot of different strategies here. We've seen guys pit early. We've seen guys try to take the 2-stop strategy. We've seen guys really do about everything here tonight.
Except the 3-stop strategy, which is definitely not a viable solution here. I mean, they don't have enough tires to make that, a realistic feat. So, I don't know. Unless they can conjure up a magic set of tires, we'll see.
Maybe someone who's only taking the 1-stop strategy might sell them some tires. I don't know.
Can you do that? Is that actually? I'm actually curious here. If a team in real life wants to sell the tires. Well, let me get this straight. You can actually sell off tires to other teams if you're not going to use them in your race. That's actually a thing.
Pretty positive. I mean, I don't know if it's a thing like nowadays, but I know back, maybe a few years, not even that long ago, it was definitely a thing for sure.
It was definitely a thing in stuff like the 90s and the 80s and stuff like that when it was more. But I say gentlemen's sports. It was a bit rough. They really liked roughhouse back then, didn't they?
Yeah.
You take a look at those cars, they look like they come out of the scrapyard because of how beat up they are. Oh, heads up. Clayton Hopkins had another spin, this time at turn 1, just between that one. Never seen a driver lose it coming up the hill through there, but that's what he did. Got a big tank slapper going as he turned in for the apex of 1. Just overcorrected and lost the back end. Slid it off with a high-speed slide through the grass, but didn't hit anything. So good run there on Hoppin to keep it out of the walls.
Well, I'll tell you what, man. It's got to feel amazing to be able to, like, he could literally just drive it down pit road right now, park it, and he's still the champion. Imagine that. I mean, how good does that have to feel? Like,
just going for the glory at the moment. Eric Clay, the second to last driver to come down pit road for the one-stop strategy. Still winning the Robert Pattingill as well, actually. We haven't seen the number 1 car come down pit road yet, now that I think about it. But your race leader in pit road is over a minute gap back to Brian Johnson, closing fast, obviously. But I think he's still going to be clear here by about a solid 20-30 seconds when he leaves.
Yeah, not surprised to see Eric Kling, take that pit stop there. I mean, no one really has held a candle to him all race when it came to, times. The only one that really even came close was Brian Johnson. It still was not able to consistently turn those same laps. I mean, that's the key, is consistency at these tracks. I mean, like I said, you got to be like a robot when it comes to turning these laps. I mean, every corner, you have to know it like the back of your hand and know exactly how your car is going to handle so you can maximize your speed every lap and, not make that mistake. I mean, heck, one thing about road courses I've always noticed, and I think about it, everybody probably agrees, is, you see someone, they look slow, they're probably fast. I mean, that's just the way it is. I mean, you go through the corner, you back up your corners. You don't look like you're drifting it through the corner. That means you're fast. I mean, or of course, it does not mean you're fast. But you get what I'm saying, right, Nolan?
Slow means fast. And it's actually, basically, we're taking the Top Gear philosophy. It might not look fast, but it is fast.
Exactly. Jeremy Clarkson, eat your heart out.
Greg Berchinski just let Gil Gok by about half a lap ago. The number 2 car is still somewhat off pace because of all the damage on the front of his car. So currently almost 4 seconds faster than Powell the last lap by. So Kenny Powell could be having some more struggles. So we'll have to see here how this is going to play out here for Kenny Powell. I'm honestly genuinely curious how this will work out for him. I mean, it's saying 55 seconds between them at the moment. I doubt that's correct, though, because it jumped from 22 seconds on my relative there to 55 in an instant. So something tells me that is not accurate.
Yeah, and I think one really close race that could be, could really heat up by the end of this thing is probably going to be Randy Drumhiller versus Josh Schaffner here, as they are really starting to close in on one another. I mean, that's about the closest battle on track we have right now.
And with that, it's 3 seconds apart, just showing how spread out everybody is at the moment. I mean, that's what you get when you get 11 cars and put them on a 2-mile some road course.
I mean, think about it, though. We saw Randy, have some issues. He went off track earlier and, sacrificed some spots. But look at him now. He's up to 5th. Definitely deserves to be shouted here.
He's having a little bit of a quiet day, Gilgok has. He's kind of been having spots almost given to him in a sense. He definitely had 7th place given to him by Greg Berchinski.
Oh, and off the track. Gilgok, he just went off the track.
Oh, did he now? And, let me guess. He got loose clipping one of the curbs? Based on where he is?
I don't know. I just clicked off of him and he was in the sand. I'll have to look back.
And that is what happened. Just swung it wide. Well, not wide. He clipped it too much and lost it. Good save, though.
Way worse. It could have been way worse. I mean, he literally turned it around. But he did save it. Like you said, a good save from him.
Especially one thing about it, the grass.
Berchinski is right on him. I mean, Greg could even try to challenge him for this spot. So I think Gil really starting to struggle right now. I don't know if maybe it's the cold tires versus old tires. You get used to those old tires. Definitely makes it more difficult when you got those new ones on there.
The lap times in terms of Berchinski and Powell has switched again. It's now 2 seconds favor Kenny Powell, gap 23.8 seconds. So it's really kind of going back and forth here, depending on what Berchinski is doing on that lap. And Berchinski's about to start battling here with Wayne Grossi, as that 7 car is starting to really apply the pressure as well. So this will be interesting to see how this is going to play out. Oh, well, I say that. Grossi's just lost the back end. And what a save for the 7 car as well, down the hill into turn 6. Manages to recover nicely in the number 7 machine. Robert Pangale has finally come down pit road for his one and only stop with 17 laps remaining. Now, it's interesting here for Kenny Powell because you got to remember as well, Wyszynski still has to make one more pit stop in the race, and you're staying on pit road about 44 seconds minimum. So that's going to give Kenny Powell a solid, or that's going to give, it's going to give Kenny Powell a solid, 15 to 20 second gap over Wyszynski, who's only going to have, so long to run that gap down if he makes that second stop.
Well, that's the thing. Kenny might not even have to make a second stop. We're going to have to wait and see. I mean, 15, he pitted around 15 laps in, right? I mean, think about that. If you do the math, that's about 30, 30 laps, something like that. And we know the fuel runs around, 32. So it's possible if he fuel saves, maybe.
Wyszynski, absolutely. He can definitely make it there on fuel. I mean, there's no doubt about that. The question is going to be on the tires because we've seen in the past on the ovals that old tires really come into play late in a run, more so than early even.
And Greg coming off the track there, going to let Wayne Grossi by.
Just understeering off, and that's also not well. That actually proves the point perfectly there, Brian. So that's totally fine. I mean, just goes to show he's starting to already struggle with a little bit of issues out there on the track. No doubt the damage starting to hamper him a little bit more as well. So down to under 20 seconds here between the two of them. I mean, this is still kind of very up in the air.
Yeah, sure. I mean that race position in the season, standings is definitely very much up in the air. I mean, it just really depends on mistakes and limiting them, and definitely this is about the one race that I've had to where I've commentated or broadcasted on to where I've actually been more interested in the back of the field than the front.
On the front of the field, they got like a minute between the top 3, so I mean, there's not a lot to go off of up in front.
Oh no, I understand. I'm just saying that watching this battle for the third spot in the season. I mean that's a big deal.
It is. I mean, they get that much more glory finishing podium on the point standings. It's always a very high achievement.
I mean, we've already kind of got the championship and the runner-up already kind of locked down. So I mean, really, this is the race for the final spot.
I'm genuinely curious here to see how this is going to play out because I mean, if Greg Wyszynski does come down pit road, with the gap being about 20 seconds even between them now, I'm trying to do the math in my head to see how this could work. Because Wyszynski, the problem is that the guys' lap times here, they're swapping back so much that I can't tell who's really better here. Like, it was 6 seconds, favor Wyszynski 1 lap. 2 seconds, favor Powell the next lap. 3 seconds Wyszynski, and now 3 seconds Powell again. I can't do the math here if you keep on throwing variables at me like this, guys.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, consistency. And, these guys, I mean, I hate to say it, they're not very consistent at this racetrack. So it makes, us have to really, have prophecies and, be soothsayers in a way to figure out who's going to win this thing, or finish in the third, spot in the championship.
It's a hard track to be consistent at. That's the other problem as well. It's not like it can't be. And it's hard to be consistent in any car here. I mean, this is really not a track for racing now. As a testing track to just kind of test out the car, see how it feels, it's the absolutely perfect place. You got some longer straights, you got a lot of elevation change, a lot of different varieties of turns as well, and chicanes and all whatnot. Not a good track though for actual racing, and why NASCAR has continually come for so long, I genuinely don't understand. I mean, I can list at least 5 better road courses that'd be better for NASCAR. So you can at least pass there.
I don't think you convinced Jeff Gordon of that. Because, I mean, he has always been very successful here. So, I mean, I don't know. I mean, you're right, for sure. I mean, but maybe this next-gen car, whenever it comes around in an actual NASCAR, I mean, we might see it really become, open up and be some really good racing.
I want to see Road Atlanta be added to the NASCAR schedule. That would be a fun show. And that's a track that's primarily, situated its history in sports car racing with the Petit Le Mans, but you never know. I mean, those new next-gen cars, they can race just about anywhere.
I mentioned about, you trying to convince Jeff Gordon of that. Try to convince Eric Kling of that right now, as he is clearly dominating this whole field.
Currently, Randy Drumhiller and Josh Schaffner are looking a bit closer at the moment on the track. About 7 tenths so separating them, and Drumhiller with a big mistake causes Schaffner to close right up to the back bumper. So we're about to see a swap and answer for that final spot in the top 5. If Schaffner can get a run here down for the hairpin. Oh, but he's too wide through turn 10.
Yeah, Josh Schaffner has been putting on an excellent performance here tonight. I mean, definitely, if he gets up there into the top 5, I definitely would be very impressed. I mean, he has been doing a good job battling with the likes of, Gil Gok, who's been very steady. Oh, we see. Oh, he spin out across the finish line there. He stopped on the track.
What happened there to the 44 car? That thing just snapped on him. He didn't even hit the wall, it didn't look like. That thing just snapped on him in an instant. It's like it blew a tire out. Yeah, he never hit the wall. But he just lost that all by himself.
Yeah, he literally didn't. He it almost looked like what you see at a, when you're racing at Richmond or something like, or Phoenix or something like that, when you come off the corner wrong. But I mean, he was well into the straightaway when that happened.
Oh, big problems with Wojcinski as well. Through turn 10, went too wide and slammed the tire barriers. Kenny Powell has gone through, and now Wojcinski is down pit road. So all of a sudden, the 2 car has a lot of work ahead of him with more damage on his car, and Kenny Powell going to be almost 45 seconds, if not more, out in front.
And also, Randy, was easily cemented up in that top 5 or even top 6. I mean, now also down pit road. So that is a big implication there for some of these guys out there. I can't believe that. I mean, all within the span of 30 seconds, we saw Greg Wojcinski and Randy Drumhiller wreck.
In pretty bad ways, too. I mean, turn 10 is one of the worst corners to wreck at on this track. There's no runoff there at all. If you go off, you're pretty much guaranteed to slam into a barrier, and that is what Wojcinski did. Not sure if we could have got a replay of that or if we did, but that's a game changer for Wojcinski. And I think, yeah, he's going to be out of the fight. I'm looking at it now. He's been in the pit box there for 40 seconds and counting. He's out of it. That's going to be it. Kenny Powell's got 3rd.
I mean, if he's had engine damage and he has to sit there for a while, yeah, he's probably going to be out of this thing. And Kenny Powell definitely doing a good. Got to shout out Robert. Pattengale moving up to 9th because of those. That attrition, and that kind of speaks to what we spoke about earlier. You might not be the fastest guy out there, but if you're able to just stick with it, just drive. Don't really, race your own race. That's the key here, and I think Robert definitely showcasing that by capturing 9th now.
Wojcinski is trying to get the damage fixed. He's got a new front clip on the car, but he was just lapped by Kenny Powell. So I think that tells you all you need to know about that fight there. I mean, at this point, Wojcinski has got to hope that Kenny Powell crashes out of the race entirely within the next 12 laps, or he is not going to be getting 3rd place in the point standings.
Yeah, Brian Johnson having some issues here, but almost drove it off the track. Having some, he's definitely out there Tokyo drifting this car around here. Brian Johnson, I guess he could, Kenny Powell kind of mentioned it before the race how he's a hard charger. Well, he's definitely hard charging into these corners.
I'm still in disbelief at what we just saw. I mean, talk about drama, everything just crashing down at once. In the final stage of the race as well. Oh, to add insult to injury, Wojcinski just went off again in turn number 5 by overcooking the braking points.
Yeah, the only way Wojcinski has a chance is if, Kenny really has a huge issue. I'm talking about race ender.
As the laps continue to wind down, looks like a lot of the championship battles are now officially cemented with those latest incidents. It's heartbreaking there for Greg Wojcinski, who had a shot for 3rd, but at the moment will not be taking that 3rd position. Not even close. Take a quick break here, and we'll be back for the final 10 or so laps of action here.
ButtKicker. Feel what you've been missing. Get yours today at TheButtKicker.com and be sure to use our 20% discount promo code ISCA20.
Ten laps remaining here in the... All right, help me out, Brian.
Charles Shaw. One.
I don't know why I can't think of this. This is going to be a running joke now, isn't it? Charles Shaw, 114. 10 laps remaining here from Sonoma Raceway for the season finale of the ISCA Stock Car Association ButtKicker Cup Series. Couple of cars with some significant issues. Greg Ruchinski had a mistake that basically sealed the battle for P3. So to kind of reset things at the moment, Eric Kling currently in the lead. You have Brian Johnson in second. Clayton Hoffman sits in third, your current champion. Chris Johnson is in fourth. Josh Schaffner in fifth. Gil Gach, biggest mover on the day. And at the moment, I believe, potentially last car on the lead lap as well. In sixth place with Rain Grossi just behind him in seventh place with Kenny Powell in eighth, Patton Gale in ninth, Wachinski 2 laps down in 10th, and Randy Drumhiller a DNF on the race after a big crash on the front straightaway after the car just, well, looks like basically somebody decided to go play Mario Kart and threw a banana peel out on the track for him.
I think that's about probably the best way to describe it. I mean, literally, he was in the middle of the corner and just all of a sudden lost it. And or not even the corner. It was in the middle of the straightaway after they have already, had the car pretty much straight and under control. I was in disbelief at that wreck there.
It wasn't even really on power either. And the reason why I say it wasn't on power was because the guy, he was at the rev limiter in the gear. He couldn't have been spinning the tires.
I think if he was in second gear or something like that, but he was already like through the gears. That's what I really didn't understand that one. I think that that might just be an I don't know, an iRacing, supernatural occurrence or something like that.
Supernatural, that sounds about right. You know what happens at the end there? That kind of sums up my entire iRacing career, not gonna lie.
It definitely had a sound going da da da. It definitely unfortunate. I mean, because Randy was running such a great race too. That's the sad part about it. I mean, I hate to make fun of the situation, but I mean, definitely you hate it for him. It's very unfortunate.
Oh yeah, I mean, you absolutely do. I mean, it's definitely not a good feeling. You make it so far in a race and you get wrecked out like that. It's one of the worst possible feelings you can have out there as a driver. Kind of looking through the field here. Closest cars at the moment are Wayne Grossi and Gil Gach, but they're 2.8 seconds apart from each other. So there's pretty far cry in the terms of battles out there on the track. It really is just people kind of running hot laps at the moment, just kind of waiting for the race to get itself done and sorted.
I mean, you got to think that also these guys are definitely probably suffering physically. As we see Gil Gach drive off the track into the grass there, but he's able to make it back on the asphalt. But I mean, like I was saying, this really exhausting, to always be in focus mode here, considering, this track, very difficult. I mean, you're never going to be able to really take a breather, especially this being a road course like it is. I mean, you don't get the opportunity to have a caution to maybe take a breather here, drink a sip of water or something like that, or, get yourself focused mentally. I mean, these guys really going to be suffering mentally. I mean, by the end of this thing, I think that probably mentally exhausted, wouldn't you say?
I know I'm mentally exhausted at the moment. I wouldn't be surprised if a lot of these other drivers down here are. I mean, Sonoma in a stock car is one of the most physically demanding road courses you can drive in a cup car here, and having to do it not just on your not just for 45 laps, but then racing on your own as well. it can get mind-numbing sometimes. These guys, you got to be careful that they don't, start slipping off, because I've done it before, and I've had races end that way. I had races before, not at this track, but at other tracks where, there've been low car counts, everybody's all sorts of spread out. You slip away, you start thinking about something else for just one split second, and before you know it, you're in an entire barrier, and you have no idea how you got there.
Luckily, we have not seen that quite yet, but we've seen stuff similar for sure. But you're right. I mean, as soon as you forget where you are on the track, you start thinking about something else. You're like, oh man, time's going. Especially when you don't have no one around you. I mean, that's the truth for rovals too. I mean, or not rovals, but ovals. I mean, about any racing you do, if you don't have someone around you, no one to really judge yourself against, it's hard to determine what pace you need to run and keep yourself mentally there and focused.
So we're starting to run down here into the final few stages of things here, and while we're still waiting for the finish of the race to come around, I would kind of just like to give one more thanks here to everybody that's been racing with us throughout the season, and those of you that have stuck with us despite the low car counts. And I know there are better things, probably more exciting racing that you could be out watching right now, so we appreciate that you've decided to come and race with us here tonight on the Thursday night here. If you want to get involved in racing the series as well, I mean, these guys, the ISCA Stock Car Association, they are actively recruiting at the moment. So you can go and apply to the league at the moment on iRacing for the ISCA Stock Car Association. You could also talk to Kenny Powell as well, director of the league. You just send him up, look him up on iRacing, send him a message. I'm sure he'll be happy to fill you in all the details. We would love to have you in here. I mean, this is it's a great league to race on. We've got some of the best guys in the business out here running out in this place. Hopefully the field size will be improving as well for next year. I know a lot of the guys left to go run Road to Pro. Those guys, I believe quite a few of them have said that they are planning on making returns for Season 3. So we'll have to wait and see, but here's to hoping that we'll have a much better season next time around.
Yeah, for sure. And from what I've seen of these guys, I mean, a lot of respectful driving. I mean, that's the thing you want to look for in a league. So this would be a good call if you're looking for a good league to join. Heck, I mean, if I wasn't up here commentating with you guys, I don't know about Sonoma, but maybe next time around now, I might come out here and race myself. Definitely not Sonoma, though.
I intended to race this series, actually, a couple of weeks ago, actually. I believe it was the Charlotte Roval or something along those lines that I intended. No, it was Coda. Not even Coda. It was Dover that I was actually wanted to race earlier this year. Got myself all sorts of setup. I had a lot of guys send me setups like Chris Johns. They were really nice, giving me some setups that I could use. And imagine my surprise when I didn't qualify because my safety rating wasn't eligible. So that was interesting. So I was kind of that whole dashed right there. So, later down the line.
I know that one of the leagues that I actually broadcast for, the USAN's Esports Cup Series 8, they had a Coca-Cola 600. They did it all 400 laps there at Charlotte, and I really was wanting to race it myself, but I mean, I just decided against it because we're broadcasting that, and I don't want my broadcast to suffer. As you definitely, I wanted to race so bad because I mean, last week at Charlotte, I was so fast, and just don't put me on a road course.
Right, so I have a great track for you and that I think you'd like, all right? It's called the Nürburgring.
No, I'm not.
The Nordschleife? No?
Definitely not. Definitely not.
All I had to do was say the word, and you immediately were like, nope, get out.
I'm scoping out of here.
Right, well, what about Lime Rock Park? That's a nice road course for beginners.
Actually.
Yeah, that's what I thought. You cannot not like Lime Rock. That's a great track.
We raced to Skip Barber a good bit, and Lime Rock was definitely fun.
Oh, it's such a great track for club cars. How do you think a 40-car stock car race would look there?
That would be very interesting to see. I guess, for a fun race sometime, maybe we ought to do a collaboration and put one on,
We'll see further down the line, I guess. I honestly think we see a lot of carnage. We'll put it that way.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Especially, a lot of the fast portions of the track. Especially, you all about Lime Rock whenever that little hump. That little hump I'm talking about though. Like if you can't really back on the gas. Like imagine that when you're side by side with someone. I don't think that's gonna work.
Imagine the final corner going side by side. I don't think that'd even work. Pretty sure
Yeah.
you can't. You would end up just spearing off into the tires.
Right now we have 5 laps to go, so getting closer and closer to the conclusion of this season, and Clayton Hoffman clearly going to be the champion here tonight.
And that was confirmed even before he went green. As soon as there was only 11 people that joined, it was over. He doesn't have any competition for him at the moment.
Gotta feel good. I mean, that's almost like paying off all your debt or something like that. You know, I mean, gotta feel good.
I wish I knew that feeling.
Yeah, I think everybody wishes they did it.
So as we continue to kind of let things cycle through this race, with just 5 laps remaining, I mean, got a lot of a very entertaining series and racing that are coming up in the next, 3 months or so as well. In season 3 on the season, you got you got Kentucky to kick off the season. We're going to Watkins Glen, 2 really great road courses, arguably better than the ones we've been to this season around. And I think the races I'm most excited for are Michigan, Daytona, and Indianapolis. Those are the 3 races that are side by side with each other right near the tail end. Those are 3 absolutely phenomenal tracks that provide some really good racing. So I cannot wait for those final 3 races in the season. So we're on board in car here with Eric Kling, and I mean we've been talking a lot here about how these guys are trying to work their way through this race here. We've been talking a lot about how they're struggling. Let's go on board here with Eric Kling. We'll give our voices a little bit one more of a rest here. We'll take a silent lap on board here with that 88 machine. It has so far been dominant from start to the present time. Well, we were just talking about how, these drivers are struggling a lot on the course. Well, how about Eric Kling making perfect side of that right there? We run aboard that exact corner, so exactly 1 lap later, goes off track, coming up and over the hill for turn 6. That time, though, was not just the car getting light, dipped 2 tires into the right side of the track, and that's all she wrote.
That's definitely unfortunate for him, but I mean, I think that makes him a little bit more human, considering we've seen him do such a great job during this whole entire race. Shows that even someone like him, a road course ringer, definitely not above making a mistake.
Nobody's above making a mistake on iRacing. I mean, as soon as you say nobody's above making a mistake, that driver's bound to make a mistake. I mean, that's just how the rule of thumb works on iRacing.
100%. I bet he was just saying, I'm just going to cruise to the end. And as soon as he said that, he definitely had a big moment there. I mean, surprised to see it. I mean, you kind of mentioned it before while we were kind of chatting during the commercial. This is a low downforce package. I mean, no wonder. I mean, a lot of wheel work going on in that car.
That really didn't impact his lead a whole lot, though. I mean, there's still 24 4 seconds to Brian Johnson just behind. So that just shows how good Kling has been all day long. He can afford to make those types of mistakes and, you know, not ever have to worry about it. So, I mean, at the moment, there are no battles of the track. So unless somebody goes off, this is how it is going to be finishing up here in this race with just about 1.5 laps left to go.
Yeah, the only way that, you know, really the outcome of this race is going to change if Eric Kling hits a wall really hard.
Yes. Don't forget Kenny Powell, though. That would be a bigger story, I would feel.
Big lot of Eric Kling. Once again, it seems like this is like a trouble spot for him.
It's a trouble spot for everybody. That's one of the most difficult corners you can get onto the track. And when you come down onto that flat drag strip, it is so tempting to just plant your foot to the floor and, you know, let the car have it. And the mistake that you just did with the car getting loose, I've even made that in Indy cars, in open wheel cars, GT cars. It's not just stock cars that have to worry about that.
Like it's just a change, like right there. Like you said, that's like a drag strip there. So it's like probably a change in, you know, in the asphalt or something like that. Maybe a bump or something that makes the car get light.
Not quite that stretch. I think it's actually the concrete section right before where it would be, you know, having a much bigger impact. But the stuff apart from that, it's just painted lines. It's the exact same as the track preceding it. Not a whole lot of note there. The real big difference in track surface actually comes from, you know, the extra drag strip shelf. Wow. The actual drag strip itself. There we go. Everything after that, where you see these guys racing, that's all the shutdown area.
I will tell you this. Right now, the white flag is out. 44 laps complete so far, and now Eric Kling working on lap 45.
The dominant run for Eric Kling. I mean, he's going to be definitely cementing himself as a pure winner today. Brian Johnson will definitely be taking second place in the points. Hoffman already your confirmed champion. Powell's just got to hang on for one more lap as well, and he too will have this in the bag in that battle for third.
And you can tell that Brian Johnson has made some, you know, quite a bit of mistakes here tonight, considering, you know, of course, we've seen Clayton Hoffman make a good bit of mistakes, but Clayton has actually closed up that gap quite a bit, surprisingly. He's actually running a second faster right now than Brian Johnson, even though it's a little too late.
Too little, too late. I mean, that's kind of the epitome of how this race has gone so far for a lot of people. Eric Kling just started his way out through turn number 7 and is running his way down through the SS for the final time today. So, as we get set to kind of close out yet another race here, we would like to thank everybody for joining us so far for all 12 races for this season. It's been a tough season. I think that's safe to say, a very tough season. But you know what? We've made it through in the end. We're at the tail end of it, and now we can fully look forward to what we have up in store down the road. A lot of new changes are going to be coming in, and no doubt they're going to be some good ones. Eric Kling stepping the back end out, tags the wall out of the final corner. Now just as around turn 12, he's taking it slow. But Eric Kling, he will not have to worry about it. The 88 car wins the season finale for the Charles Shaw 114. Gil Gach holds off Wayne Gross battle for 6th across the line. Brian Johnson, the next driver up, to finish it off in second. Clayton Hoffman spins in the final hairpin. He will not have to worry about it, though. So Brian Johnson, he will pick up second place in not just the race, but in the point standings. But here's the man of the hour, Clayton Hoffman, your 2021 Season 2 champion from Sonoma, the 92 car. Once again, crowns himself a champion of the Irish Stock Car Association ButtKicker Cup Series. And into the battle for third, unfortunately for Greg Wyszynski, Kenny Powell, he's got it done.
That was a back and forth between Kenny Powell and Greg Wyszynski all race. I mean, that was one of the most interesting things to watch out there for sure. And I love how Eric Kling, whenever he was, you know, coming down to that you know, that checkered flag there, he kind of waved to the fans with his car. Was liking that a lot.
Just wait for the final few drivers now, particularly, oh my goodness me, Chris Johnson. Oh, we got to get a look at that because Chris Johnson just had the almighty send up through the hairpin. Good gracious, that was enormous. Slammed the catch fencing, but got it all settled. Wyszynski's going backwards on course because why the heck not? You got Kling burning it down as well. Schoffer crossing the line this next time by. I think at this point, we're just waiting on Wayne Grossi to finish the race as well, and they will be done dusted. Actually, no, he's one lap down here. So let's take a rundown now at the official results from Sonoma for this season finale. Brian Johnson, wins by just 5 seconds at the end of the day over... Wow, my everything is wrong there. It shows me that Eric Kling is somehow in 5th. That ain't right. What's happened to Eric Kling? How come he's finishing in 5th here? That's interesting. So, winner, Brian Johnson, it would appear. Clayton Hoffman in 2nd. Chris Johnson 3rd. Schaffner 4th. Eric Kling in 5th. Gil Gox 6th. Wayne Grossi 7th. Kenny Powell 8th. Robert Pangill 9th. Greg Wyszynski 10th. And Randy Drumhiller, not finishing the race, ends it off in 11th. So that will do it here for the race. Don't go away, though. We'll be right back with the post-race show. And we will be back in just a few moments.
ButtKicker. Feel what you've been missing. Get yours today at TheButtKicker.com and be sure to use our 20% discount promo code ISCA20.
And welcome back for the last ISCA post-race show here of 2021. Well, the second season, 2021. We still got, of course, 3 more seasons to go if you count the Super Cup Series season. We'll save the best for last. We'll start things off here with Eric Kling here, our overall race winner on the day here. So, Eric, scoring error on iRacing's part shows you in 5th, but of course that is not going to be counted because you definitely won this race in very convincing fashion. So, how are you feeling?
Pretty good. I guess I'm looking at that result, and it is pretty frustrating. But I know the end result, and I spent quite a bit of time practicing throughout the week, nonstop. And normally I don't get a chance to run these races on Thursdays because I work from Thursday to Saturdays, so I don't get a chance to run them at all. And so I knew this race was coming up, and I spent quite a bit of time on the track running, trying to find out different lines, what works, what doesn't, following other people that I know have done pretty good here, and seeing what they do. But yeah, it's definitely a shocker to see that one lap thing.
Well, the good news is that it's already been confirmed that that is not going to be counted, and you will be credited with the race win, points and all, as rightfully should be. I mean, you won this race by, half a minute. I mean, I can't think that kind of speaks wonders to itself. Kind of go through some of the challenges on this track, because this is by far one of the most difficult circuits that NASCAR visits on a yearly basis, just for the track alone. So how difficult of a track is this place, really, from your eyes?
Today I kind of had an epiphany in it, from watching some of the pros. There was one guy that was on a Twitch stream, and I was sitting there watching him, and it almost looked like everything he did was smooth. There was no sudden movements and throttle control and everything like that. And so I took a step back earlier today and I started slowing down. I drove the track really slow. And I noticed from that point that even driving it really slow, I was still at a 150, 154, something like that on the time. So if you slow down and try and learn the track, it's just like any other track. You try to hit the apex right, you try to hit the corners right. It's just the fact that you've got so many corners and so many elevation changes and things like that. But time is the key to figuring it out.
And then, of course, looking forward to the next season. Of course, you're one of the guys that's been more of a regular here in recent weeks here for the ISCA. So what are you kind of thinking here going forward into season 3 of 2021? Do you reckon you can maybe contend for some of the top spots up there coming into this next year?
Well, unfortunately, I won't be able to. I'll be there watching, rooting on my teammates that are running, but because my work schedule won't allow me to run on the Thursday night. So I wish I could be there, though.
That's a mighty big shame there. It's been a pleasure having you around. Hopefully you'll be able to make a return to us at some point further down the line. Before I let you go then here, Eric, anybody that you'd like to shout out for us here today for that number 88?
Yeah, my team. They've been there. If I ever needed any help, with setups or anything like that, they're always there, and they're a good group to be around. So pretty much all my teammates.
And well, thank you then, Eric, for taking the time to come out and join us here in the broadcast booth tonight. Congratulations on a race victory and best of luck in your future endeavors.
Thank you, sir. Much appreciated.
That was Eric Kling, driving the number 88 car, the winner here today in the Charles Shaw 114. Going to continue to move things along, and it's time to move into the podium drivers for not just the race, but also the guys that won out the championship here today. And we'll start off with third place in the points, Kenny Powell, after a hard-fought back-and-forth battle. Brian Britt, you are standing by with our third-place finisher in the points.
Kenny Powell, how are you doing, man? I mean, just battling back and forth with Greg Wachinski out there. How'd it feel? I mean, were you trying to limit as many mistakes as you could out there, or what? Yeah, for sure. And we kind of saw that. I mean, you kind of picked the one-stop strategy there. Was that your game plan the whole time, or did maybe that damage kind of change your mind there? Definitely had some speed. I just feel like you guys were having trouble with consistency, and I understand it. That just kind of proves that you're able to get up there in third position for the point standings, and probably from a lot of the successful runs on ovals. I mean, is this just a bad track for you, or do you have is it a road course thing? Go, and that's probably what helped you get this third. Of course, keeping consistent, or not consistent, but being persistent, I'd say, helped you out the most here tonight. Sticking with it and not giving up. I mean, it's so easy to when you slide off the track. I know you said you lose focus, but it's so easy, once that happens, to really just give up. And you didn't do that, so great job to you for that. How are you feeling about next season coming up? Kind of already have started shouting out some guys. Anybody else we can shout out for you finishing on the podium here, third place in the season? I'm sure they're glad to hear that shout out for sure. And that's Kenny Powell. Third place in the championship standings. Look forward to seeing what he could do next season for sure. But moving on, we're going to talk to the second place in the race and in the point standings here, Brian Johnson. Brian Johnson, how are you doing? Did you feel like you were struggling out there on this racetrack?
Yeah, doing good. Yeah, as the laps went on, the track got really hot. It was slick there, but I felt like we finally settled in and we were able to put up some pretty decent lap times. We weren't able to compete with Eric, obviously. He had this one pretty much in the bag. All we had to do is stay consistent, keep it on the track. Unlike us, we did a little four-wheeling there a couple of times, but overall good day, second place. I'll take it at a road course, so we're pretty happy about that.
Well, what do you feel like your biggest problem spot on the track was?
Mainly the S's, the back S's. Just trying to maintain speed going through there, and not wipe out. So I think that's where I was struggling. Sometimes I would hit them, get pretty good speed, and then sometimes I was just all over the place. So
yeah, I think that's just what consistency is so important in this racetrack. But I mean, great job finishing second in the point standings, considering, you finished second in this race also. That just goes to show you're an all around, kind of plug and play type of driver. So definitely congratulations on that second place. How are you feeling about next season? Do you feel like, you have a good shot at the championship? Maybe you have some learning experiences from this season here?
Oh yeah, I feel really good about next season. We got a good group of guys here at G&G. Work hard on setups and practicing, and it really showed tonight. So I look forward to next season.
Definitely look forward to seeing you. Anybody we can shout out for you here tonight, Brian?
Yeah, just shout out to you guys, Brian, Kenny, Rob, all you guys that put this on. Congrats to Eric for winning this. He spanked us pretty good. I want to thank ButtKicker for sponsoring this season, and Southern Spiral Pipe for being on the car.
Appreciate your time, Brian, and look forward to seeing you next season, bud.
Thanks, guys.
And, before we move on here to the champion of the race, we're going to finish off the race podium here today. Not so much the points podium. Chris Johnson, a little late to the party, but you have managed to join us up here in the broadcast booth. You yourself moved up from 5th to 3rd in this race, so all around a good day for you, too, in the 48 car.
Yeah, awesome. Sunday drive. Everything went easy, fine. Team built an awesome setup. Wondering what happened to Eric. I have no clue how I ended up in 3rd place.
It seems to be an iRacing scoring error, unfortunately, but that will be rectified shortly. So most likely you will, unfortunately, be relegated back down to 4th. So that's a bit unfortunate there, but still, it's definitely not a bad start. You're still up positions where you've gained earlier since you started this race. So we kind of look forward into the next season. Of course, we got the All-Star race running the next gen cars at Homestead Miami Speedway next week. So no doubt that is going to be one entertaining show. Can we expect to see you at that race?
Oh, yes, sir.
And what do you think the hopes are going to be for that All-Star race? You plan on going for a win there? You got 4th place today, so you've shown that you're fast out there.
Well, I don't know about win. Maybe contention. I gotta fight Brian and Clayton it's going to be tough. But if I could get a top 5, I'll be happy.
Top 5 is always a good goal to aim for. What about next season for season number 3? There's a lot of interesting tracks coming up there. So what do you think your hopes are going to be for the next season, assuming you're going to be racing with us that season as well?
I do believe that we're going to a lot of road courses next season, and best thing to do is try to manage, practice and manage and try to get the best finish possible.
Some very good philosophies to live by. Always get the best finish possible. Push as hard as you can at every stage of the race. You should come out just on top in the end. You certainly came out fine today. So, before I let you go, then here, Chris, anybody like to shout out for that number 48 car?
Of course, Kenny Powell for putting all this together, giving us an awesome program to run every Thursday night. Southern Spiral, G&G, Clayton Bryan, building awesome setups. Overall, a great team.
And thank you, Chris, for taking the time out of your night to come on over and join us in the booth. Congratulations on a 3rd or 4th place finish. Way to see all that cycles out. And best of luck, not just at the All-Star race, but next season as well.
I appreciate you, Nolan.
That was Chris Johnson, podium finisher on the night. And finally, we saved the best for last. Your 2021 Season 2 champion, Clayton Hoffman, brings it home in the 2nd position here in today's race. Expected to be 3rd, though, once the scoring issue with Eric Ling is rectified. So, Clayton, you join us here now. It was a walk in the park for you today. I mean, you could have finished stone dead last, not even finished the race. You still would have come out on top with the championship in this race.
I don't think it was that far or a belief for me, but I had some unfortunate events happen in a couple of races. I ended up having to drop out after my motor was pretty heavily damaged. So my lead definitely was shrinking, and I definitely needed to do as good as I could here. I wasn't able to get the practice that I am accustomed to, so it was kind of a struggle for me today. I think I wrecked about 2 or 3 times, had about 2 or 3 more off tracks, so it was really just about surviving and not actually totaling the car when I slid off. And towards the end of the race, I kind of just shut everything off as far as my peripherals and just kind of drove the track and try to mess around and see if I could pick up some speed. And I was able to have some fun out there.
So we start to look forward. Of course, you've been in the season you've been running with us. You, of course, have been very close towards the top of the standings there. Particularly, most notably, in the last season of 2021, finished 3rd of the point standings there. Well, you take it home, top step of the point standings here in this one. So we look forward to season 3, a whole new beast ahead of us. A lot of new tracks that we were not racing at this season. So a lot of new challenges up the road as well. So you reckon you can go out there and defend your crown?
I'll give it everything I got. I'm looking forward to getting back to some ovals. I got some new things to try there. I'm going to be going to Road America next season, so that's kind of one of my favorite road course tracks to watch, so it'll be fun to race that one.
You and me both. I mean, it's been a really good season so far, and no doubt going to be a very fun next season as well. I just kind of want to go back so far and look over the rest of the season as well. We know how your race went tonight. You mentioned yourself, wasn't the best of runs for you tonight. You had a couple of spins yourself. That's kind of on par, though, with just about everybody else out there on the track. But what about the season as a whole? How do you think that went for you?
It started off pretty strong. Towards the second half of the season, though, like I said earlier, I had some unfortunate accidents, totaled my car a couple times, so I definitely, had that coming down to earth moment where I know I needed to perform. And last week I was just trying to play it cautious, and that bit me. And this week I was fortunate enough to make it through to the end.
Fortunate enough, and still came out in front of this one with a 20-point gap coming into this race, so had more than enough space to be able to, make all the mistakes you wanted here. You had nothing to worry about at all. Well, before I let you go, then here, Clayton, who helps you to get your championship done here in that '92 Chevrolet?
I got to thank all my guys at G&G. Help test, help with setups. Shout out also to ButtKicker sponsoring the league. Shout out to Kenny. He's owner of G&G, host of ISCA, and thank you guys for broadcasting this tonight.
And thank you, Clayton, for taking the time to join us today. Ladies and gentlemen, your defending champion at the moment, Clayton Hoffman in the 92 machine. Hopefully we'll be seeing you once again race for the top spots in just a couple weeks' time here, Clayton.
Yes, sir. You'll see me next season.
That is going to just about do it then for driver interviews. Before we close things off, though, for this season, there is a bit of an announcement here on some upcoming notes coming up for the next season. So I'm going to turn it over to the league owner at the moment, Kenny Powell, and I'll let him take it away.
Foremost, I definitely want to thank my crew, Rob, Nolan, Brian helping us out tonight, and Al. Definitely couldn't do any of this without you guys, so I appreciate everything you guys do. You put on a great show, and I love it. I think everybody else does too. I wanted to, we went through the season winners. Glad we had such a great season, and congratulations, Clayton, Brian, and hey, myself. I finally get in the top 3 here. And with that, present Clayton with a $50 payout for the season win, $35 for Brian Johnson, and I'll just put mine right back into the ISCA kitty. Should have been $20, but just wanted to make those announcements, and we'll do the same for next year, next season, and other announcements I wanted to make sure everybody was aware of. Next week, hadn't been on the schedule yet. We are going to go to Homestead in the next gen cars. It'll be the fixed setups. So it will just be a fun race. Everybody that's currently signed up is welcome. Anybody that's ever raced for us, welcome to come back. And hopefully we'll put on a good show over there. Going forward into next season, we are going to make a couple changes for season 3. The ISCA is going to introduce stage racing. So we'll mimic exactly what the NASCAR guys do. As of now, and pretty much always have been, half the NASCAR race links. We'll do the same thing with stages. So whatever their stages are, we're going to cut it in half and give points for each stage. So hopefully that'll give us some more interesting racing. We'll see how that works. Definitely plan to do that for season 3 and 4. And if it goes well, then we'll continue doing it into the future. And with that, we've had great drivers. This is a great league. Everybody's respectful. If you have watched the races, the driving here is just exceptional. We ran several races in a row that were caution free. So I just want to let everybody know the quality of the racing we have is just tremendous. And I hope to keep that going. But with that, we also have spots available. So anybody out there that likes the Cup cars and wants to race with us, give me a shout out. We've got a couple spots available for next season. And with that, I'll turn it back over to Nolan.
And that is then just going to about wrap it up then for 2021 and our second season of competition here for the Ireland Stock Car Association. Clayton Hoffman, your champion. Brian Johnson, P2. Kenny Powell finishes it off in P at number 3. So that is going to be all from us here from the Charles Shaw 114 from Sonoma Raceway. I've been Ola Rempel with Brian Britt covering all the action from flag to flag here in the season finale. Rob Meldick doing a great job as always behind the cameras. And I think I say the best of us when we have hope to be seeing you all once again in just a couple weeks' time for season number 3.